Thanks for stopping by. I'm Angel. I got something on my mind, so just want to talk about it before I hit the hay, as they say, and that is differences, disagreement. Several points in my life, and right now is especially poignant when people seem really divided, and understandably so. We have differences of opinion, different perspectives, different lives, different preferences. And generally that's a beautiful thing. Like, can you imagine if we were all the same? How boring it would be, probably to the point where none of this would even exist. So that's one of the points I want to make, is that diversity is necessary for a thriving, healthy life. Any kind of system. I put an asterisk on that, say probably not any kind of system, but the kind of dynamic living systems that I prefer and that I've come to know and love in my life are diverse. And when you look at any population, diversity helps keep the population healthy, survive crises. No, it's crisis, I think. Anyway, it's getting late. That's just one aspect of how I want to preface my main point, which is that we need to learn to get along, even when we have really extreme differences, because we need to work together for the most part. Of course, we don't all have to be friends. We don't all have to hang out. But when hate is met with hatred, and like if you see somebody who's hateful toward another group of people, and you decide you're going to hate the group of people who hates the other group of people, do you see how you just become what you're hating, and it's just propagating more hate, and it's not going to facilitate us resolving anything, coming up with solutions. I think in order to come up with solutions that serve the greatest number of us, we need to be able to talk. We need to be able to work together. I'm talking on the broad general sense. Again, doesn't mean each of us individually have to necessarily hang out or be friends or even talk. But I think in general, when, like right now, the political groups are really highlighting this, but it's the case in many areas of life where certain groups are just harboring animosity toward other groups, and it goes way back in our human history. Like, this isn't a new thing, and it's also not a new thing that we can find common ground. We can think of ourselves as related, and indeed we are related. We're all part of this human race, all part of the same species, and all in the same bucket when it comes to climate change, when it comes to civil unrest, when it comes to addressing the many issues that our systems need us to address to keep up with evolution, right? From viruses to school systems to you name it. Like, we do a better job when we can cooperate, when we can communicate, when we can work together. And that takes setting aside our differences and being willing to disagree, agreeing to disagree on certain topics, but focusing on the topics where maybe we don't get so heated that we can't hear each other anymore, and instead find ways to come up with solutions, find ways to express. This is the issue I see right now, is that some of our differences are so far apart and heated. Like, there's a lot of passion in our positions, and that can lead to just blindness and deafness and just refusal to listen to the other side. And I understand there's a lot of times opinions and positions that seem so foreign or so thoughtless or so small-minded or so, you can fill in the blank, that it, like, our brains balk at the thought of suspending disbelief long enough to hear another person out who's coming from that position. And I'm just proposing that we would do better if we did that. True dialogue comes from suspending disbelief, suspending belief, not bringing all your beliefs and disbeliefs with you, but genuinely trying to listen to someone else's perspective and not just react when you get triggered, but instead, again, suspending those hardcore beliefs and disbeliefs long enough to try to gain a broader awareness, a broader perspective that can be more inclusive of another person's perspective or opinion or experience. And we all have different experiences. We are very similar, and yet we are very different as individuals and as groups. And I think if we're just focusing on those differences, we're going to have a harder and harder time resolving our conflicts and coming up with better solutions for the many parts of our infrastructure and systems which need attention right now. I think school system, justice system, political system, healthcare system, all of these need up-leveling. Here in America, our physical systems, our bodies are not healthy in general, and we would be wise to stop the hate, stop the, pushing away, and you can take a step back within that, but try to calmly articulate our positions and open-mindedly listen to other people as they calmly articulate their positions. And I think we just had our first presidential debate between Trump and Biden, and that was certainly a demonstration of where I think a lot of Americans are right now, which is just unable to hear the other person. And even if we start to articulate our position in a calm way, we quickly get triggered when somebody else isn't acting calm or is, expressing a perspective that we just adamantly disagree with or can't fathom having any truth in it. And even if there's not truth in it ever from our perspective, I think it's important to recognize that we're all part of this big system together. And so again, creating animosity, feeding that fire of hate isn't going to bring solutions unless we just want to burn it down, right? Which I don't think most of us want. Maybe if a little minority does, and even that kind of minority is worth considering the validity of that perspective. It doesn't mean you have to agree. It doesn't mean you have to take any actions to support that perspective, but it's helpful in keeping yourself calm if you can understand the other person's perspective, even if they're not calm. Usually if a person is unable to remain calm, it's because they are deeply triggered. They're unconscious and they're acting from a reactive state, which isn't very logical. When we go into that fight or flight part of our nervous system, which includes being very angry, being very sad, even all those states diminish our ability to use our brains to its fullest capacity or use our bodies to their full capacity, and thereby reduce our ability to co-create a better future, to collaborate with our fellow human beings. Even if we decide, there is a group that we don't want to collaborate with, understanding them better and being able to listen without being triggered is a great skill that I think we all would benefit from developing more of. That's my 2-cent pre-bedtime rant, soapbox, whatever that was. Anyway, I'd love it if you have any comments to add to that, if you want to have a little discussion about that, if you have some opinions that you want to express and be seen and heard, put that in the comment section. I encourage you to take care of your own body. I think health is an underappreciated aspect of all this. When we're not healthy, when we don't feel good, it makes us crankier. It makes us more apt to be reactionary and less able to listen to each other or to articulate our own positions calmly and coherently. So that's my plea, I think would be a better word for what I'm feeling tonight. There's lots of ways you can connect with me and support me in the description. I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I welcome all your questions and comments. I wish you peaceful conflict resolution, lightheartedness, playfulness, positivity. Don't forget to play every day. Let's drive forward.